Thanks for checking out a new episode of Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. This week, I'm joined by the co-hosts of the Why You Mad podcast, Luisa Díez and Jake Flores. We've determined that old people are the problem. Does your dad take all the toppings from the casserole at every meal? The show might be for you. Check it out. Thanks for checking out a new episode of Bad Advice with Chris Cubis, the show where unqualified people give unsolicited advice. Thank you guys for rocking with us. You left a bunch of really nice reviews, which has been super cool. People have been emailing, so hopefully soon we'll start doing your questions as well as Dear Abby's. We've got some hilarious people with us this week. Up first, returning guest, comedian, internet arguer, Jake Flores. How's it going?
I like that. Thank you.
I don't know what other is, I feel like, as of recent, the most accurate credit I can give anybody. Because, you're not doing, you know what I mean? Like, you've got your podcast, obviously, and your podcast co-host, Luisa Díez, is here. A perfect way to intro you. How you doing, Luisa?
Good. Thank you for having us. So excited to be here.
Absolutely. But yeah, also, I feel like your podcast is almost born out of internet arguing. Am I completely wrong about that?
Yeah, no. Well, actually, I don't know if it was born that way, but it definitely it like lives in it. Because we started doing Why You Mad after just doing like Pod Damn America episodes about like comedy and fucking theory and shit, and then all this other stuff just happened on top of it. It was honestly a very very confrontational project to begin with. Things happen.
But it is a very online project because
Sure.
a lot of the conversations maybe happen online, I think.
Yeah.
So,
But isn't that everything, I don't, it's weird to say this as an adult, but I feel like all of our, I don't want to say perspectives, maybe you read more books, but it all just happens online, right? The arguments, the not arguments, you see, obviously you've been punched in the face in real life, but most of this shit, but as a result of some online shit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I grew up when people talked about how the internet was fake and these aren't real conversations with real people, but it might be more real than the outside world at this point, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it makes us mad. It makes us laugh, it changes our mind, I think, as much as people are like, oh, you can't change mine with tweeting. I have changed people's minds with posting. You can do it. It is totally possible. And so part of what we want to do with the podcast is just have a lot of these conversations about comedy. And then it happens to be that makes a lot of other people mad, and then people think we're mad about it because we insist on talking about it. So it's like a weird mad mirror. Yeah.
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 Exactly.
Mad mirror,
Yeah.
It's that fucking, you ever been in a pizza shop where there's a mirror on either side of the pizza shop, and it's just this, you know what I'm saying?
Ending back and forth, exactly.
Yeah. Mad mirror coming.
You're right though, because it's a reality I think people are coping with, they're coming to terms with, and there's an older generation of people that are still kind of remember I don't know 10 years ago when we were doing stand up and shit, and social media was just first kind of becoming what it is, and you'd have older comedians that are this guy doesn't even, what are you doing, the online stuff?
Yeah.
Wow, you sounded like a lunatic, these computers are a fad,
Yeah.
I try desperately to not be that person about TikTok. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. I don't want to I have a TikTok account. I don't post anything. I just doom scroll through it at 2 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just not for me. I'm a 42-year-old man. I am not designed to learn film editing on my camera at this point in my life. That's just not gonna happen. And there's these kids making these crazy videos that are get all these views. Maybe that's what comedy is for the people who are 22. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't mean we can't keep doing what we do. That's fine. That's the thing. Everybody's doing their own thing, and it's fine and it's different. What's weird about it, I think, is Jake and I talk about this sometimes. Comedy did used to be more insulated, it happened in scenes and in clubs and particular rooms. Yeah. And so you got to be whatever you want to be on stage, and then go do these other things and go be on TV or go be a news person, a talking head or whatever. And all these worlds were segregated. And now it's all like everybody hears your stuff. So if you're going to like pander to one particular audience, you're going to get those followers and that audience, but the rest of us are going to hear you doing it too.
Yeah.
And then people are going to have something to say about it. And I think the backlash comes with like a bunch of comics and comedy people just not being used to anybody being able to like look into what we're doing and comment about it.
Yeah.
And it's like a violation for us to be talking about it outside the family kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's very much I watch a lot of pro wrestling. I'm a wrestling nerd, and it sounds like they call it kayfabe, which was the idea back in the day when the carnival era, where it was like, shut up, the normies are around. We don't talk about how it's fake when other people can hear us, and it's very much got overlap with that. I also find it not even in like a backlashy hate way or politics or anything like that. I love it when those worlds intersect. Like people get mad. You're at a festival and now there's a comic who's we don't even know them from seeing them around doing stand up, but they've got 1 million TikTok followers, or it wasn't TikTok, it was whatever before TikTok, but like YouTube or whatever, right? And yeah, they're going to come on the festival and bomb because, like, they're not used to doing stand-up. That's how that works. But make a goddamn TikTok video. Make a 30-second video, you old piece of shit, and see how well that shit does. See if you don't get clowned. It's two worlds that aren't necessarily supposed to overlap as much as they do.
Remember Southern Mama? Remember when everyone about Southern Mama?
I got so mad. I don't even. It's so funny because that shit happens, and I don't remember which one that. I remember the name, but like, was that also
that was
the Rainbow guy? Is that is that Miranda Sings? I don't know any of these people, but also they're 1,000 times more successful at the thing they do than me. So I'm just gonna, let them have their moment.
Yeah,
it really moments or their full-on fucking successful career. I'm calling it a moment.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and have your moment?
Yeah.
Paul F. Tompkins.
I really do agree with you, though, Chris, that it's like good when these things intersect, because it's like, I think it can only make you better comics and like better at what you do if you go and check out what the young kids are doing, what other people that are into different shit are doing. Yeah. I don't know, like when you want to have like a good view of the full field, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to get into deep art conversation, but like, you can't like do good art if that's the only art you know what I mean? You have to see what other things are like. You have to see the rest of the world and understand what's happening. You don't just live in like an insular bubble, or maybe you do. But I also feel like maybe that's how you just end up being a lunatic that writes 900 volumes of a diary that you never put out because you just wrote in your house forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into some of these Dear Abby letters and see if we can point this very interesting worldview into a bunch of weirdos. Luisa, what is your familiarity level with Dear Abby? Like concept or...
I understand it as a concept. I never saw the actual column or what have you, but I've seen like, representations of Dear Abby in pop culture as an immigrant child. That's my understanding of what it is. And so it's basically strangers write some letters and ask for some advice.
Right. So they write to some lady, and now I think it's that lady's daughter. I think Dear Abby is no longer the original Dear Abby.
Okay.
It's weird. Like, it's just weird that people still do that. In this, like, they still write to a newspaper lady for personal advice, but it's not going anywhere. The shit's been going on for 50 years, and it's not going to change. The only thing that changes is the letters. And let's jump into a couple of them. How about this one? Dear Abby, all children are beautiful to their parents. My 3 children are of mixed race and get a lot of attention because of it. The boys are aloof about random compliments they receive from strangers. However, I'm worried about the pressure it may put on my daughter to be pretty. I care more about my daughter's character than her looks, but I'm concerned that if I say that to these people, it will come off as rude. Also, I don't want her to think that I don't think she's pretty. How can I respond in a way that isn't rude to well-intentioned strangers, but at the same time allows me to make a statement about the importance of character over beauty? Signed, Mom of Beauties.
Mom of Beauties.
Yeah. I have a couple of okay, so let me ask this question. What races do you think these kids are?
Oh, shit.
Well,
does she say in the letter? Or
she doesn't. No, she just says of mixed. My 3 children are of mixed race. That's all she said.
Okay, can I say that it seems like it wouldn't, like, it's not giving me black mom vibes.
It's not giving me black mom vibes at all.
So I'm gonna go with like some stereotypical assumptions, and go maybe like Asian mom.
That's what I was thinking.
And
I like where you're going, because I'm not getting white mom necessarily.
No.
Like, I'm not necessarily getting white mom, but I'm also, because like, so with the mom, maybe an Asian.
Yeah.
Ooh, we are being. It's in the week. Just saying it made me uncomfortable for a second for no reason.
Write us an email. Let us know what bothered you.
But now, is the dad black? I am not convinced the dad's not black. I think we're dealing with a real couple of Lenny Kravitzes running around in this. You know what I'm saying?
I think that the dad is black, because I think you're right in that you identify that this woman doesn't sound like the black mom, but this does sound like her kids are mixed black and something because of the weird fawning that she's talking about, which is a thing that
and how she made it like seem like it's very obvious that everyone can tell that they are mixed race.
Absolutely.
So she's weirdly exoticizing her own children in the way that she's describing it. So I'm with Jake. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I also am. So I'm of two minds. One, my first initial thought is your kids ain't that goddamn pretty. Like, I'm not buying that these people are stopping them. Like, you're just getting, it's becoming such an issue that they're stopping you in the street all the time.
They're making this up. They're just like, oh, everyone's always trying to hit on my hot kids.
Yeah.
My kids are so hot. That's just such a problem.
It's not a problem. That's a weird thing to be writing a letter about. However, I do know, as a mixed race kid, let me not throw out that I'm constantly being stopped about how I'm a mixed race person, but like, you see it, people do exoticize, is the word we used before, mixed race people, or they're like, oh, you've got blue eyes, but you're, clearly mixed black and something else. Yeah. People will stop people like that on the street and just be like, wow. They'll just, you know what I mean? So people
stop you all the time. When I've lived in Austin, we hung out, you just walk down the street.
But I looked like a lunatic, and I don't mean to be a wild dick. Like, I was known in this town. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little more than. But also, people would just stop me because they'd be like, "Whoa, look at you," which happened quite a bit. Much I've cut my hair since. But so people stop like mixed race people all the time. So I am maybe not. So I'm torn whether or not I believe this happened. But let's treat it like it happened. Is it a problem? Is it really like an issue for your child to be well self-esteemed as a child?
What this woman is saying in her letter is not like that it's a huge problem. Like, she sounds like she's concerned about the people. She sounds like she's more concerned about like what meta weird narrative is going to be inserted into the kid's head by someone complimenting them. Like, she's like saying like, should I interject and say, yes, this person is saying you are a cute child, but that's not important, but also good for you. Like, this is where she's fucked up about it, right?
Yeah. I would say no, for sure. Okay, totally agree with you, but it really seems like it's a problem. The fact that she wrote a letter to the newspaper makes it super fucking weird, because you're publicizing all of this. Absolutely. Because in effect, it seems like the problem that she's having of not wanting her kid to be adversely affected by either narrative of like, I don't think you're pretty, or prettiness is all that matters, seems like something that you should have a conversation with your kid, maybe, instead of writing a letter to a newspaper, and maybe give her the tools to respond to strangers who compliment her beauty.
It seems like the most obvious fucking thing in the world. I would argue this, though. She doesn't seem concerned with her boys, who are also being stopped based on this letter.
Right.
She doesn't seem to be concerned about them. And I argue that a inflated ego man is way more of a danger, is way more of a concern than a woman who happens to be complimented sometimes. You know what I mean? And that might be being sexist, but I think men who are given a artificially inflated self-worth are like a problem. You know what I mean?
So let's give her this advice. As a mom, what she should do is turn the toxic masculinity against the stranger's toxic narratives. So teach the boys that whenever somebody says that their sister is pretty, they should turn around and annoy that person and be like, what about us? What about us? Aren't we cute? Yeah. Aren't we great? I don't know. I think that seems like bad advice that she could go with.
Yeah. Go back up for a second and like kind of look at the big picture of what is even going on in this person asking this question. This strikes me as the type of, this is like helicopter parent type shit. Like this is the type of stuff that someone asks who also like played Mozart to the child in the womb and stuff like that. This is on the opposite end of a spectrum is like a really, you know, kind of trashy working class parent who doesn't even notice that the stuff is happening and they're just like, shut up and eat your corn and you'll be fine or whatever.
Your corn specifically. That's very
good. I was pulling that from a very specific childhood memory that I don't have time to go into. But there was a guy down the street, he would yell at his kids like, shut up and eat your corn or you're communists if you don't eat your corn.
Oh, shit.
That's okay. I didn't see it coming that way. That's a weird take.
It's like
American. Is that maybe why? Is that where you got radicalized, Jake? Is that?
Yeah, it's my origin story. The corn dad yelled at me. Corn dad. No, but what I'm saying is this whole letter is just very neurotic. It's just like, is something gonna happen to my kid if I don't frame this in a way that's like safe? You know, it's like maybe not. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny because like sometimes people are obsessed with this stuff. It's like your kid's a human. They're just gonna grow up and something.
I would like to ask another question if I can. How old do we think these kids are? Because
25.
that changes. Yeah. They're adults. I think that changes the whole sort of scenario a little bit. If you've got,
you're right,
3 kids in there, 5, 7, and 9 or whatever. Those are just cute little kids. Your parent and people stop them, and that's maybe annoying or whatever. But if they're like 17. You know what I mean? Now these people are trying. One, they're trying to fuck kids, but 2, they might be. You might be able to turn this. Here's what I mean to say: if people are constantly stopping your children who are children, and telling them how pretty they are, they might hit an awkward phase when puberty hits. This situation might take care of itself. You know what I'm saying? But if they're stopping your 17, 18, 16-year-old kids. Put them, maybe get them some acting lessons. Maybe put them towards modeling or something. You might be able to what am I trying to monetize these kids' hotness already.
We're gonna turn you from a helicopter mom into a a backstage mom or what do we call it?
Yeah, stage mom.
A stage mom. Yeah. There we go. So we're gonna push you into a different type of toxicity.
Yeah, we turn you into one of those LA parents. It's like gambling on their child. That's
yeah.
This is great advice.
Yeah, well, the show is not called Great Advice. This is fine.
She does have 3 potential gold bags there. Look, with mixed, beautiful children.
You might be able to.
The media wants it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I'm saying these kids might be. They might be rich hot, which is an interesting take. However, I also want to say this, like, maybe in summation on this letter, like, it just seems like the world's gonna kick your kid's ass eventually. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you got a couple 12, 13-year-olds and people are like constantly telling them they're pretty, let them have that because there's going to be a bunch of people telling them they're ugly soon enough. You know what I'm saying?
Point. Yeah.
Maybe that's just my life. Maybe I'm projecting here, but it seems like the world kicks everybody's ass eventually, unless you're just born rich. So, like, let these kids have a fucking couple of years of being pretty. I don't know.
Hey, Chris, I think you're a hot tween.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. That's going to be the name of this episode. Let's go ahead and jump into another letter. Dear Abby. My boyfriend, Mac, and I come from 2 different worlds. I'm from Europe, but I've been living in the U.S. for 15 years. I have many friends, male and female, and I make a point of staying in touch with them. Mac is Native American and believes that in a relationship, your partner should be the only opposite-sex person you spend time with. He doesn't want me to be in touch with any of my male friends, no lunch meetings to catch up, no occasional email, text, or call to check in. These are all platonic relationships with guys who share a similar interest. Most of them have wives or girlfriends I get along with. Well, Mac thinks his manhood is insulted because he should be enough for me. He was cheated on in the past. I never have been, so I can't relate. Am I being unfair, rude, or insensitive by wanting to keep my friends? Signed, Friendly Female in Nevada.
Okay, first of all, you don't know if you have been cheated on in the past.
Yeah, that is true.
Dude,
that is unfortunate.
But even to just
true.
throw in the fucking can't relate, what a fucking brag right there. Just like, what a loser, right?
Flex.
He's been cheated on.
Flex. I would also like to ask, why does it matter so much that he's Native American?
Thank you. That was.
I don't
understand.
Is this a Native American trait that I'm unaware of? It just seems like insecure dude bullshit, right?
No, yeah, exactly. This is actually an example of when white people are like, what do you mean? How's it racist of me to just like say this person's race? It's like, because it was irrelevant to the point of what you're saying, except to say about yourself that you believe that this is like an innate behavioral characteristic of this group, and therefore it seemed relevant to you. So you hate that you seem racist. But lady, you seem pretty racist.
You're pretty racist.
Yeah.
Well, also, white people... And I'll let you talk in a second, Jake, just because it ties into what Luisa just said.
Go ahead.
I just want white people to know, like, no one, this narrative of like, oh, I'm afraid to even mention whatever. It's contextually, because no one's mad if you go, oh, it's the black dude over there, because I need to know which dude you're talking about. Right. But if you're constantly like, oh, I was cut off in traffic by some black guy. Okay, well now you're just being you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy to fucking figure out white people. Just navigate your shit. Anyway, Jake, go ahead.
No. I mean, white people are very neurotic about this shit. So I think there's kind of through line to these letters. It's kind of coming together for me. I think maybe what's going on with this person is that they had a problem with if this is a white woman who had a problem with her.
I'm guessing. All we know is
she said Europe.
She's from Europe. So I don't
99% sure.
I feel like if she was from Spain, she would have said Spain.
And
but
even
also
Spain
that's just white Spaniards.
Right, yeah. If what we're dealing with,
there are non-white Spaniards, sorry.
Sure, yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true.
But like to our understanding, let's say hypothetically, this is a white woman and she's like writing a letter and she's like got this grievance with her boyfriend who is like Native American or indigenous or whatever. I feel like the reason she pointed it out is because she feels like guilty because she's like, I have a problem with them. And I swear to God, it's not what you think.
Yeah. 100%. I do agree with you a little bit there that she does feel guilty only because she mentions it because it is in her head, but it doesn't. She doesn't come back to it. She doesn't re-mention and go and say something about his Native American culture makes him think this. Yeah. She does kind of get away from it. So she might just be having some white guilt. That's true.
Yeah, I feel like when people do that, it's like they don't realize how it goes all the way back around and it is kind of racist. But the intention is that they're just like, you know, terrified of being accused of being racist. So they're just like, you know, if they give like a coworker and he's like fucking Puerto Rican or something and he like steals your lunch every day, you're gonna come into the office at one point and be like, please don't, God, he keeps stealing my lunch, you know what I mean? Like you know, there's like this weird dodginess where you're please don't make this, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to get out of it if people start accusing me of racism over this or something. I don't know. I'm trying to get inside of the head of this lady.
Absolutely.
This lady is loony.
She is, but then also this dude, let's not take away from the fact that that's a toxic dickhead.
Thank you. Right? You're absolutely
because at the end of the day, if we get rid of that one of those 4 words where she says Mac is Native American, but here's where it's weird. It's not even those 4 words. It's Mac is Native American and believes, and that feels like it's some sort of Native American belief.
Causal,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's a causal relation. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but so the reason that I started off with saying that she's loony is because anybody in your life tries to tell you that they should be the only person you talk to, that's a huge fucking red flag. That's crazy.
100%.
Why wouldn't it be, I would like to meet your friends? Would you like to meet some of my friends? You know, like, insane. So the fact that you, again, writing to a newspaper with this, like, crazy, it makes it more racial to me because it seems like a thing you couldn't solve in your head. So you had to externalize it. Yeah.
I wonder if she's white guilting herself into a toxic relationship.
No, that's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean? Because like she doesn't want to if this dude was white, she'd be like, "Fuck off with your toxic bullshit," right?
Yeah.
But now she's like, "Oh, I don't want to disrespect his sexist Native American culture." This poor. We're finally seeing it.
There's a flip side to this, which is that if you are like listening to this and you are Native American or something like that, you can get away with shit if you just like if you capitalize on this insecurity that people have. You want to do something, kind of uncouth. You could,
Latinas, we're allowed to like hit our men sometimes because if they're white guys, we're fiery and they think that's part of the experience, so they're like kind of into it.
They should be calling the police on you, but they're like, wow, you have, wow, this is like so fiery.
Sexy, it turns them on.
What we're saying is, Latina women, if you're listening to the podcast,
do whatever.
Boyfriends, you're fine. It's absolutely okay.
Just like one time for
like after a night of drinking, he's being a little too whatever. A hot slap. We're not talking a knife. Don't get violent. Just one good slap.
Hot slap, exactly. That should tell you everything you need to know. But you have to be mad about it. This is what Why You Mad is about.
It's not.
Leave your boyfriend. I think we can all agree this man's a problem.
Yeah.
Or otherwise.
Horrible. That is horrible.
Exactly. And don't worry about it. And next time, reconsider why you need to insert the race into something like this.
That is, that I think is very much, she has lived here for 15 years, so it's long enough to
She should have some nuance.
What I was going to say was like, oh, she's from Europe, so maybe she doesn't she's trying to exacerbate the differences between them to excuse his behavior. Mm-hmm. But like, you've been here 15 years. You know how people are. And also, people are supposed to act that way in Europe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't supposed to be toxic over there either. So, like... Yeah.
There's another thing about this, which I think is like, okay, so I think this woman is kind of like worried that she's like, oh, am I going to offend his customs if I disagree with this thing where he's like really, really, really patriarchal or whatever? Mm-hmm. But I think that patriarchal thing that you don't talk to other men, that's white people shit. That's not Native American shit. Native Americans were like...
communal.
They're communal. They're just living in fucking communes where everyone just hung out together and shit. All that's Victorian stuff. That's stuff that white people imported into America. So you're getting played yourself.
I'm going to throw another level into this.
Colonialism?
Which is... Well,
I was going to bring up colonialism. Okay,
we'll get to. You can do that next. Okay. Mine is maybe a little problematic, but I'm going to bring it up anyway.
Do it.
I have the feeling that Mac isn't like living on the reservation. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Native American.
No.
Like, you just met this random European lady in Nevada.
Native American by birth, but not practicing.
Well, he might be. Look, I don't mean to say that he might not be tied into his culture, but like he probably just works at Best Buy and lives in whatever apartment complex you live in. Like he's just a dude who happens to be Native American. So maybe let's not tie everything into it.
I went to college with this dude who was Native American, but he was like a dude. Like we played poker and hung out all the time and shit. We called him Chief. It was like his nickname because he's Native American.
Nice dude.
But he wore a black leather jacket. He listened to fucking Rush every day. All he talked about was Rush. None of this shit is like,
that's my point.
Sacred that you listen to Rush. No, he was just an American. You know what I mean? Like,
right. That's exactly my point.
Okay. Yes. My colonialism point was that maybe I am projecting onto her our American like racial bias and like prejudice and concerns. And what's actually happening is a white guilt based on colonialism because she's European and she came over here and she got herself a native man. And now she's trying to be like, oh, but can I still see all these other colonies, huh? And the natives are having problems with that. And she feels, I don't know, some type of way about it. So maybe it's a different kind of hierarchy that we don't get. But
I don't know. You know what I think ultimately the problem here is if you're dating somebody, you need to respect them enough to like treat them like they're a person.
A singular individual human being that not fetishize their ethnicity. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And people are capable of being wrong about shit. You cannot be in a relationship with somebody that you're afraid to criticize because you're not treating them like a person.
And and to your point, she did not mention that she's tried talking to him about this.
Hasn't come up. Hasn't mentioned it. There's no part where she's like, I've brought it up and he gets mad. Nothing. She just went straight to Dear Abby. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, am I being unfair, rude, or insensitive by wanting to keep my friends? You just have to part of me also thinks that this is a little bit of bragging as a European. Not that she I got a Native American, but just sort of being like, oh, I'm
so diverse.
Exactly.
Equal opportunity.
It's a little bit less of it's toxic wokeness. Yeah. It's not so much the white guilt as it is the white oh, I'm more in tune to other cultures than you are. You know what I mean? There's a little bit more of a braggadociousness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So just leave this dickhead and, I don't know, meet some French person or something out. Also, here's the thing. You can be a little racist towards European people.
Totally. And you can also take some fucking communication classes, lady. Figure it out.
Yeah, just figure it out, for sure. Let's go ahead and jump into another letter. Oh, I like this one. Dear Abby, I am saddened by the mistresses of today, also known as side chicks. These women have no morality or conscience, yet their status seems to be glorified all over social media. What advice would you give to my friends who are contemplating joining in this madness as a hustle and a way to get child support from married men? Signed, Disgusted in California.
Wait, first question. Do we think Disgusted is a man?
I'm not sure. I like that that's where you went. I don't. So here's my, I'm not so sure.
No, because of the friends. Because of the friends.
Exactly. Okay. When I read this initially, my first thought was, this is a dude. This is a shitty old white dude.
Yeah, that was Burns.
But when you get to the end, what advice do you give my friends? So that makes me think we're talking about a woman with women friends. However, the idea that he thinks that side chicks are just trying to trap a man and get child support is a very masculine opinion. And by masculine, I mean a dude.
Patriarchal, Yeah.
So I'm torn. I'm not 100% sure who, but he's old. Whoever it is, I think is old. Okay. Particularly because of the line, I'm saddened by the mistresses of today.
Yeah, a woman wouldn't say that. A woman wouldn't have appreciation for mistresses of yesterday.
Of yesterday.
Yeah, what the fuck is that shit about?
That's weird.
Yeah, so that really does make me think that this is a man who wrote this, and then maybe he means his friends. No, I think he means his women friends that he's starting to think are behaving in this hoe-ish way.
They're trying to be side. Also, he doesn't understand. Maybe I'm washed. Maybe I don't know. But I don't know that side chicks. It's not driving for Uber. It's not a hustle. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Even if it is a hustle, it's a good fucking hustle. I would say to you that the mistresses of yesterday were maybe trying to do that fucking trap you shit and take you away from your wife because women were in a position to be so dependent from men in a lot of different ways, depending on the area, class, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But today, there are just a bunch of women that like to fuck, and they like to fuck men that don't need their time or their emotional energy or their money or anything except I see you on the weekend, baby. I hit you up when I'm drunk. You know what I mean? And so it sounds to me, that's why I think this letter has to be written by a man. It sounds to me like you are mad that you're watching your women friends hook up, get laid all over the place, possibly get gifts and dinners and other shit like that too, and they're not fucking you. And you're mad and thinking they're doing it just for the things they're getting instead of the fact that they enjoy fucking those dudes.
Right.
So I would say the advice to your friends is keep fucking, dude.
Yeah. I just not even a question. There's no way. Just the advice I give is to this person. Also, here's my question. What is the motivation for this letter? It's not some, you know what I mean? This isn't somebody who has well-meaning if old-fashioned notions and really thinks he has to save his friends. Is this someone but then is he being cheated on? What, you know what I'm saying? This is somebody who's hurt. I feel like this person is hurt in some way and is lashing out. And I don't understand why, you have a problem with side chicks, but that doesn't mean you're being cheated on by your woman,
even if it's
right?
even if you're a woman, why would you have a problem with the side chicks? Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of think it's a woman.
You think it's a woman?
Okay, Jake. Okay.
I think it's because it's misleading. You're right. It immediately sounds like a guy because it says like the mistresses of yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is a weird Frasier kind of turn of phrase. But this thing where there's like a resentment towards like women who are not being as what is the fidelity? I don't know what the word.
Yeah.
The noun. They're like
it's not infidels. They are not unfaithful.
They're not being Fidel Castro. But no. Like, I mean, that's a thing I've heard women, sort of lament about other women before because it's like it's somehow that plays out in a way that's messing up your long game where you're trying to make some other thing happen,
haters come in all genders.
Here's the other thing.
That's true. That is true.
If it's a guy, if it's an old conservative man, I don't buy that he has women friends.
Well, like, not old, but think like Gen X thinks he's still a baller, but like he's getting older, and so the women are dropping off a little bit. Yeah. And now he's starting to be like, oh, is it because these hoes now younger are a problem, or is it like he doesn't want to admit that it's him getting old and not?
But people men that are this antagonistic about women usually are the types of guys
who wouldn't be friends.
Men and women be friends with women.
Okay. I got
guys say that shit where they're like, men and women can't be friends, man, because it's like every time I try to do it, I just have to fuck them, like that fucking.
Yeah. Well, here's what you have to factor into this, Jake. First off, I have two things to say. I will say this first. If this is a man, he's probably just lying about having friends.
That's probably
shady opinion about women, but he needs a way to fucking give himself some cover. I am back into thinking this is a woman, and here's what I'm thinking.
Too.
A jealous old hoe. I think this woman, hear me out, I think this woman used to be I think she's a mistress of yesteryear.
Right.
I think she doesn't like how good the new hoes have it.
Yeah.
You hear me out?
Okay.
And also, I'm sorry I'm calling everybody hoes, but here, you know
No, but I get it. Yeah.
Hoes get it. I think she is. R.I.P. LaShonda Lester. She had my favorite joke about that shit where she was talking about sex shaming or slut shaming, and she was like, "We can't make fun of hoes no more." That sounds like some shit some hoes said.
Mistresses of Yesteryear is opening for Mumford and Sons next tour when they come back from being Nazis.
Okay, so I have further evidence to agree with both of you, because yes, I've changed my mind to be that it's a woman, and now I agree also that it's an old hoe, okay? Because of your original question, Chris, about considering the motivation of writing this letter, right? Specifically because of the thing where she says, it's not advice for her, it's not, I'm going through this problem, help me out, Abby. It's, can you tell me what I should say? Like, what advice do you have for my friends? So the motivation is for her to get a thing in the paper calling her hoe friends hoes, so she could read it out loud to them and be like, look at what Dear Abby said about you fucking hoes.
Exactly. Oh, can you see what this random person wrote to the newspaper? Exactly.
Yes. So we've come around where we figured you out. We don't have advice for you, but we figured out what's going on here.
The advice is stop being a hater.
Exactly.
Stay out of grown folks' fucking business. The advice.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah. The advice is you're just wrong. And also, I'll say this, it's not the side chicks. I don't know. I'm trying to not come across as an old washed dude. It's not the side chicks. If somebody is wrong in this scenario, it's not her, it's him. He's the one in a committed relationship if he has a side chick. Because the presence of a side chick implies the presence of the main chick.
Right.
Ugh. All this language sounds fucking terrible coming out of my mouth. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Tyson.
We're gonna start we're gonna start a relationship podcast, the three of us.
So if that's the case, then stop being mad at her and be mad at this dude. He's the one cheating on somebody.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't think this is a guy, because a guy wouldn't be like, well, side pieces these days. Like, guys don't admit that what they're doing is a side piece. They're just like, nothing's happening.
No,
you
guys are totally right. This is a case of internalized misogyny that I misread as being a male voice, but it's really internalized misogyny.
It's easy to mix those two up for sure. Let's go ahead and jump into another letter. Ooh, which one do we want to... This one's weird. Dear Abby, I have a friend whose 11-year-old grandson stays overnight with her sometimes on the weekend. She has only one bedroom, and I'm concerned because he still sleeps with her in the same bed. I have mentioned it to her many times, and she says there's nothing wrong with it. I even purchased a nice air mattress, very easy to inflate, which she accepted but doesn't use. I'm upset by this situation. I know she sometimes sleeps in revealing night clothes, although I don't know if she does when her grandson is there. I find this sick and twisted. I'm counting on you to set my friend straight and save this young boy from future turmoil. Signed, Protective in Washington.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to read
so many questions.
Point. Yeah. The statement, I know that she sometimes sleeps in revealing...
How you fucking creep.
That?
That is very weird. I want to ask the same question we asked on the previous question. Gender of the person who wrote this, because I'm not sure.
Oh, man.
So hear me out, right?
Okay.
Part of me thinks that this is a... like, we have an old woman initially, right? Because this is her 11-year-old grandson. So we're guessing she's in her the person the letter writer is talking about.
Like
is a woman in her it could be 60s, 70s, whatever. I don't know. You know, an 11-year-old grandson, whatever. She's probably in her 60s, 70s, I'm guessing.
I'm just always like, grandmas are 80.
So my thought initially, my grandparents are dead, but that being said, my thought process here is, does that old woman is this another old woman? Because they're friends, two old lady friends, that makes sense. But this letter screams of a dude that wanted to fuck his mom. I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Why? There's a weird energy. Why are you sexualizing a grandparent sleeping in a bed with a child? That's not an inherently, this isn't Michael Jackson. This isn't a stranger sleeping in bed with this child. And like, granted, I'm not saying, obviously family members molest children, but like an 11-year-old woman sleeping in a bed with their grandkid doesn't scream, run, danger to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm being...
Well, I like that your stereotypical assumption about men was that they would just jump to the sexual shit right away, like suspecting sexual shit. It makes a little bit of sense because I just am pointing that out because I jump to the other end where I stereotypically think it's a woman because of the fact that she's so fucking nosy. Like, who like comments on your private situation, notes what you're wearing, fucking buys you a gift to try to correct a situation within your family and then like pays attention to whether or not you used it, and then writes a fucking letter to the newspaper about it.
That's weird, but
that's
also
got
like
nosy grandma in it. No,
that does have nosy grandma energy. That's very true. But the person who wrote this is upset about this for sexual reasons, right? I find this sick and twisted. That's not somebody who thinks you're going to roll over on the kid and suffocate them. Yeah. This is a weird, I'm going to save this young boy from future turmoil. What?
Yeah.
This energy.
No, see, that's why I think this is a guy, because like there is like a weird, like lonely, like Dwight Schrute type of guy who just, if you leave him long enough alone, he decides to become the self-styled pedophile police. Like, it's just a project that a lot of people get on. It's a QAnon kind of happen.
Yeah.
I gotta save these fucking children. I don't know. Yeah. If you're alone long enough, you start fantasizing that people are fucking kids, and then you decide to go do something about it. But it's also like, I don't think that this person is thinking like, oh, this woman is actually molesting the kid. I think that they're just like, I'm the only person in the situation that knows that 11 years old is too old to be doing this, and this will warp this kid's brain or something, which is also, though, I think kind of a weird male kind of alarmist thing to be concerned about, because there's some projection, like.
But it could also be projection from having been an abused victim themselves.
That's where I come back to having some sympathy for whoever wrote this letter. The line of I want to save this young boy from future turmoil speaks of somebody that was in a uncomfortable or bad situation
currently
at that age,
going through turmoil from the past.
Dealing with the future turmoil, exactly. So that's where I do come around and think maybe this person is just projecting some of their own concerns.
So what would you put in the what would you respond as Dear Abby for her to read, for him to read to?
You need to, I would say there's nothing inherently immoral about a grandparent sharing a bed with their grandchild when there's no other place for the grandchild. Now, hear me out. If I'm 11, I don't want to share a bed with my old ass grandma either. It's gross. Weird. But whatever. It doesn't necessarily. It's not just because I don't want to do that. It doesn't. But I'll say this: when I would occasionally spend the night at so my grandfather on my mother's side had my mother's sister lived with my grandparents her whole life. She's like an old maid, never left the house or whatever. And as a kid, I would occasionally spend the night over there, very rarely, but it happened. And I would sleep in this guest room that was just dolls, porcelain dolls all around the wall. And I would have slept in anybody's bed, given the opportunity
to not be there.
That terrifying ass bedroom. There's options. Also, I one time slept in a bed in Jake Flores' grandma's house, and there was a lot of Jesus-y books.
That scary ass room. Yeah,
that room was scary. It was all Jesus and romance novels. It was real weird.
Oh, I would have felt so at home.
Danielle Steele, and then the super Catholic crucifixes with still got the blood on them and shit.
Yeah. That was what we were doing when we went to San Antonio for fucking NBC Stand Up for Diversity showcase or whatever.
Yeah.
And
woman yelled
that crazy. That's who was So if you don't know how that showcase goes, you have a minute and a half up in the first round, right? And if you make it through, then you get 3 minutes or whatever. But it was just a bunch of comedians and then several lunatics. And one of them went up for their first minute and just went, "It was September 11th and the world was gripped in fear." And I was like, where is this set going?
Oh my God.
Stand-up comedy set. Sounds like a fucking trailer for a movie.
It was
God, there was also I remember something I remember about that. I know we're on a tangent, but this is the diversity showcase, mind you, if you're listening, trying to gather what we're at a comedy show where people are trying to get on the diversity program at NBC. One guy miraculously was just killing. He had a good set up until about the 3-minute mark, and then he just started yelling, "I ain't no goddamn wetback."
Oh my God.
Well, the bit was somebody tried, I remember it so distinctly, because the joke was that he was on the street, and it was a black dude, and somebody tried to sell him a Walkman. And actually a Walkman, and he went, she's like, "Do I look like a goddamn wetback to you?" And everyone got very quiet. He was murdering until that moment, but
it was such a good set.
It was violent.
That's awful. Oh my God.
Yeah. It was crazy.
He's like, "Oh, this works in the rooms I normally do. Whoops." Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, you got to read the room, man.
Yeah. It was also he might have made it to the second round. I really don't remember. That shit was. We had stayed up the whole night before drinking, and then went down there at 8 a.m. for the showcase. We
used to do that all the time.
Wildin', man. Yeah, it was great. All right, let's go to another letter here. We've got time for one or two more. Let's try. Which one do we want to do? Oh, I like this one just because it's old people. Hi, dear Abby. I have a neighbor, quote unquote, Mrs. Smith, whom I see often in another neighbor's yard, the Joneses, when they are not home. I have seen Mrs. Smith pick vegetables from their garden and take them to her house, and Mr. Smith connect extension cords that run to their home in the winter months when the owners are away. The Smiths are at least in their 60s and well off. While it's possible the Joneses don't mind sharing their garden and electricity with this couple, it does seem unusual. We have security cameras in our yard to discourage the Smiths from coming onto our property. Should I tell the Joneses about these people? And if so, what would be the best way to approach the subject? Or should I just mind my own business? I would consider someone a good neighbor if they told me someone was coming onto my property like this, but I can't assume the others feel the same way, especially since they seem friendly toward each other and share a property line. What would a good neighbor do? Signed, Neighborly in North Dakota. For the first time, I think everyone involved in this is white.
Yes.
I don't think there's a brown person to be seen.
Nowhere near this.
This is old white boomer suburb shit.
Also, they're all old. She points out that they're at least 60, but I don't think this person's the person writing this is a day under 55. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
My stop snitching instincts kick in immediately. Right. But also, man, I don't know. Like, if you're fucking running up my light bill, I'm going to be mad too. So, like, I am a little torn.
Right, but also, what do you know about these Smiths? Are you friends with these fucking Smiths? How's this? The Joneses? How's this is your problem? Yeah. You know the Joneses? I don't know. It's a little bit of mind your business.
It's a little bit of mind your business. I agree 100%.
She pointed out that the Smiths are well off, right?
Right, which means they're not in need. Yeah.
This is like when old people shoplift, even though they have like social security checks. It's like,
They just need to
fuck you. I just want it. Fuck it. Take it. I'm about to die or whatever. It's kind of like I've always been fascinated by why like casinos are full of like geriatrics because like why? Like A, you have an income, and B, what would you spend it on? You're like on death's door. There's like this weird impulse to just like steal shit when you get close to dying. I don't know why, but also what do you do about it? Who cares? Like,
I kind of feel like so. Again, like I said, my first thing is stop snitching. I also think because it's so brazen, there's a good likelihood that they said, "Hey, yeah, go get a fucking banana." I don't think they're growing bananas in North Dakota, but pick a fucking onion out of my garden or whatever. Yeah. Like, it seems like something that's a little too obvious. Like, if they're just taking Amazon packages off their porch or something, it'd be like, all right, you need to tell them. But, like, this does scream mind your business. But again, here's where the only place I'm torn is that electricity, man.
Yeah.
What is that
That's
about?
messed up.
Like, that's a wild move.
Thinking about why would anybody agree to like, yeah, sure, you could use some of my electricity. What's the reason behind that? So I've come back around. I've changed my mind. And I think that what I would recommend here is to drop the bomb at a common event and watch the chaos ensue.
Yeah, now you're talking.
That way,
4th of July.
Yeah, that way you're not really a snitch. You're there. You're owning it. I said it. I told her. You know.
Oh yeah.
And then you get to watch it.
Like,
yeah, like I thought you guys knew.
You're trying to plug in that radio. Oh, just go plug it in over at their house. Like you plug stuff in all the time. You can just, you know what I'm saying? You can
the Smiths bring over a dish and be like, oh, did you make that with the fucking onions that you
took from the garden? Yeah. It's so nice that you guys. This is a group effort. Yeah.
Make shit weird. Fucking cause chaos.
Man. So right before we started recording this podcast, one of the neighbor's dogs attacked the mailman. Like, I heard the screaming and barking from the living room, and I looked out the window, and this dude is like holding his bag in front of the dog and like going, "Hey, get away, get away!" And the dog's barking, and then the guy comes out to try to get the dog, but he can't get the dog, and then this guy falls. And now I'm like, ooh, I can't. I'm wondering if I have an opportunity for neighborhood fucking drama. I just like the idea of snitching at the barbecue. So now I'm like, oh, what if the mailman needs a witness? Do I be a witness? I feel like I side with the blue collar dude in this, but it is my neighbor. I don't know.
Again, I mean, do we care about this neighbor? Is he a nice neighbor?
He seems nice enough. I've never had a problem with him. He is a white dude with an Asian girlfriend. That could go either way.
Could go either way. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he seems nice. He rides a bicycle with big fat tires on it.
Also could go either way.
Yeah. So he seems super nice. I'm hoping he doesn't listen to this.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think we tell this person to do exactly that. Just fucking start some drama in the neighborhood and then just play it like the Burbs. You've ever seen the Burbs? Yeah. Just sit on the porch and let this shit play out fun.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, man. This is the whole vibe I'm getting from this is that the suburbs. What's that movie like Secret Window or whatever? Where you're just like
Rear Window.
Yeah.
Remember the episode of The Simpsons where Bart's got at the cast and he's just got the telescope out of the window? This is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
That weird shit that happens when you live in the suburbs until you're a million years old and you just get paranoid. None of this matters.
Mm-hmm.
That is also the idea that you wrote a letter to the newspaper about this.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to this age without being able to just... It's not even like scared of confrontation. You just have to talk to the person you live next door to. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
That's the thing about the suburbs, though, man, because your house is your little compound. So, like, maybe you did have the skill and the ability to talk to people when you moved in, but you just hang out in your fucking house long enough, you start shuttering those blinds, and like peeking out behind them and fucking scowling at people and stuff. It does weird shit to you. People are meant to live in apartments.
Dude.
People are genetically predisposed to live in apartment complexes.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard, Jake Flores. I can't think of a less natural place for humans to live than in weird boxes stacked on top of each other. That's crazy.
Sorry, I started laughing at the apartments thing, but
yeah, no, it's fucking crazy, Jake. That is you have lived in a flop house for way too long, and now you think that's just normal, sir.
I'm fucking around.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Hold on, we came back around. This is what happens when you have a fucking pothead on the show. Have you guys ever been on Nextdoor? The app?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah, the racism app. That racism app that exists.
I bring it up only because, man, I'm obviously on the, Bed-Stuy neighborhood one, right? And it's obviously not a suburb, Jake, and it's this kind of shit. And I guess, granted, we've been trapped at home for a year, right? So maybe that's, why a lot of the Nextdoor shit is, popping off crazy. But, it is... You could do some Nextdoor readings on this show, Chris.
Oh, for sure. Here's my only problem, and I don't... they fuck with the cops and I don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
They literally just
they call the cops. They give info.
And also Nextdoor, literally the app gives their information to the police and stuff.
Gotcha.
So I'm not getting on that snitch app.
Oh,
but also yeah, for sure. But I have been on it in the past until I learned about that.
Yeah.
And literally it was always just it would just be saw a Mexican guy walking down the street, and then just 3 question marks. That would be the whole post. So it would be that, and then coyotes. Wild problems with coyotes running around Austin lately. So
really,
I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was wild. There was 3 of them on my street, and I still live by Sandstone, dude. You know my neighbor, the neighborhood. I live at Airport Manor. It's not. It's there's a bunch of houses. It's not wild. It's not rural, but coyotes, man.
Dude, the Bed-Stuy one is wild. It's fucking goes from package theft to I got punched on the train to just crazy stuff. I found a turtle on the street. People just random as shit. Did somebody leave their turtle outside?
Police are watching it. They're someone found a fucking turtle. We gotta move.
Yeah. I guess it's less advice. You're right. It's more just what the fuck is happening in my neighborhood?
Oh, for sure. I used to have one of those police scanner apps or whatever, and that shit was at least exciting. But yeah, this was all bad. I think we got Ryan for one more letter, and I'm trying to decide if I go mildly wholesome. Yeah, let's just change the attitude here a little bit. Dear Abby, I host all of the holiday parties and dinner parties for my family. Whenever I have my parents over, my father insists on helping himself to the top layer of every casserole. He'll scrape off all the cheese off the potatoes, the crunchy onions off the green bean casserole, etc., just leaving the bare vegetables for everyone else. I have asked Dad not to do it because it is inconsiderate of the other guests. I can see people are bothered by it, so now they make a beeline to the buffet so they can do it. Dad got offended when I talked to him about it, but he continues to do it. Mom refuses to get involved, and I have said all I can say. What to do? Signed, Burned Up in Illinois. This man is a sociopath. That is a wild move. You took all the cheese off the top of the potatoes? The whole tray?
That's so funny. It's not even.
This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. The only way it's funnier is if he doesn't eat it.
Yeah,
he just takes it, has a bite, throws it in the garbage.
Because the whole point of a casserole is that when you get you get a layered pork,
absolutely
serving, it's got everything on it at the same time. That's a crazy way to eat a casserole.
It's insane.
It sounds like this dude hates his family holidays, and this is what makes him happy.
Trying not to be invited to the next one for sure. Imagine how much this is happening that you had to write to the newspaper about.
Yeah.
This isn't a one-time thing, or he got a little too drunk and he took the top layer of the mac and cheese or whatever. This is his every move. Oh, he is the Joker. I love that he's just an agent of chaos at this fucking party. I love it.
I think, okay, so this is maybe the second, third time I've done this show, Chris, and like I'm starting to kind of understand what I think Dear Abby is, which is it's for old people. You don't know that you can use the internet, and like so the people that they're talking about are often old people, and I'm really getting this constant through line of just old people do whatever the fuck they want because they know they're gonna die.
So they don't give a shit. They've earned it. I've earned the top layer of this green bean casserole.
Totally.
Before you put me in a home, I'm taking all this cheese.
And I can't argue with it.
I know. You know? That's why, to be honest with you, like, okay, if this was my dad, honestly, you know what I would do? I want dad to come to the fucking things, but I also want to be able to eat all the layers in my fucking casserole, right? So I would make dad a separate... his own little casserole, you know, maybe even the same fucking size, dude. We're making 2 casseroles for every event. One for dad.
No, but you don't even have to make a second casserole. You just put a decoy layer of on
a second layer of cheese. Oh, interesting.
A double top layer.
Interesting choice. Hear me out. I think if you make a second casserole,
he'll do it both.
He's taking both layers. I think this man is out to cause trouble. I don't think he wants the cheese. I think he wants the chaos.
Yeah. He doesn't care about the cheese.
Yeah. This is principle, man. This is not. Yeah, this is just him throwing the dice. He wants to see what happens.
They didn't even say that it was a specific topping that he.
It's all of them.
Whatever.
It's literally every casserole.
Whatever is on the top.
So do we ban as a family? Do we ban casseroles? What's the deal here? What do we do?
Oh, that's interesting. But here's the thing. I think he'll find a way
to ruin something.
You know what I mean? Like. He'll take all the skin off the turkey. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to figure out a way to cause issues.
Yeah.
And I almost respect it. I like to imagine that he is like, he's a guy that was like very independent, maybe like a veteran, definitely was like been through some shit. And now people want to treat him like he's old and like, a little useless. Maybe they took his driver's license away. You know what I'm saying? Like that thing where old people need to find some sort of independence. And he's doing it by fucking up Thanksgiving. Yeah. And I love it. I actually, when I first read this, I was like, this guy's crazy. The more I read it, I fucking love it.
Yeah. I mean, like, also, because, I mean, there's no point in, like, dieting when you're, like, that age. Like, you're just going to fucking die. So, like, the skin is the best part of the turkey, but you never in life are you allowed to eat just the skin off of a fucking turkey. You're supposed to like eat the meat and stuff. And portion it out.
A little bit of the skin.
I think this person just turned into a hedonist at like age 90.
Yeah. That's exactly right. He's gotten into that fucking do what thou will is the whole little law Satanism shit. He's just gonna like burn it all down before he goes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been fucking super fun. Why You Mad Pod, when does it come out?
Thursdays, usually. You know.
Every Thursday, usually. Get on the Patreon episodes and see what they're like drunk, apparently. That was the recent one.
It was one time. It was one embarrassing time. It's too late for that.
They maybe our most popular.
I know. It's fucking terrible. And people accuse me of it being like a viral marketing technique. And I'm like, no, I literally am telling people not to listen to this. Like, don't do it.
And where can we find y'all on the internet?
I'm at Luisa Díez Nuts.
At Feral Jokes. It's an anagram for my name. And the podcast is at Why You Mad Pod?
Yeah.
It's something like
Why You Mad Pod. Yeah, and Jake's other podcast is Pod Damn America, which you could also find under that. And we are looking forward to having you on Why You Mad, Chris. We'll do that soon.
Yeah. I'll come on whenever. Let me know. I am at Chris Cubis on all social media. If you like the show, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a little review, give us 5 stars. It super helps. Tell your friends, and we'll be back next week with more bad advice.